Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Zoe and today I'm going to be talking about the 23 books that I am the most excited to read in 2023. So the new year is officially upon us and that means a whole new year of reading goals, and a lot of new exciting releases. And there are so many books from my TBR last year that I didn't get to, and there are so many books coming out this year that I'm really highly anticipating. So I just wanted to talk about them. So I picked my 23 most highly anticipated reads for the year. I'll start with the ones that are coming out in 2023, and then I will go through all the ones that I already have on my bookshelf that I'm really excited to get to. I am definitely going more for quality over quantity in terms of reading this year, because last year I found myself rushing through books a lot and I want to enjoy them more this year. So I'm picking ones that I've been avoiding because I didn't want to read them quickly. So I have some really good picks here that I think are going to be really fun to talk about. So let's just get straight into it. So starting with my first book, I'm starting with books that are being published this year. I'm going to start with Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. So this book is something that I'm so excited for. I'm so obsessed with Sarah Adams and her books. This one is the second book in a 4-part series that she's making about all the siblings from When in Rome. This one follows Annie, who is Noah's little sister, and she runs the flower shop in Rome, Kentucky, and it's about her love life. It's gonna be so cute. It's friends to lovers, closed door, gonna be super sweet. All of her books are just so good. I fly through all of them and I'm really excited for it. I'm hoping to get this one from NetGalley so I can read it sooner than later, but I already know that I'm gonna buy a brand new copy as soon as it comes out and put it on my bookshelf because it has such a cute cover. So the second book is Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. As I've said in past videos, Every Summer After is one of my favorite books ever and one of my top romances. And I know a lot of people say it's like a lesser version of Love in Other Words, but I haven't read Love in Other Words, so I can't really compare it, but I do love that story and I have really high hopes for her next book. This one follows Will and Fern, who meet one night in their 20s and they form this really deep connection and they make a pact to meet 1 year later. The year passes and Fern shows up but Will doesn't, and so they kind of just move on. Fern doesn't really forget about Will, but she knows that she won't be meeting him again. And then fast forward years later, she's working at this lake resort and she is having some sort of midlife crisis or something, and Will shows up and offers to help her and they are able to reconnect, and it just sounds so cute. I love that it's going to be a lake setting, so obviously I'm going to read it in the summer again right when it comes out, and I'm just so excited for this one. Number 3 is Imogen, obviously, by Becky Albertalli. I always love Becky Albertalli's books because they're always just so wholesome and cute and perfect YA reads. I don't feel like they're too juvenile the majority of the time, even for somebody in their 20s like I am. And this book says that it is going to be about friendship, sexuality, and identity. And Becky Albertalli is always really good about writing books that are really good representations for the LGBTQ+ community. And I have really high hopes for this one. I think it's going to be really good, and yeah, I'm just so excited for it to come out and I'm gonna buy it immediately. Number 4 is The True Love Experiment. This is the second book after The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren, and I'm really excited for this one because I really enjoyed The Soulmate Equation, but one of my favorite parts about it was Fizzy, the best friend of the main character, and this book follows her love life, and I think it takes place in Hollywood, which is really fun. I'm super stoked to read it, and I am a little nervous because Christina Lauren books can definitely be hit or miss for me. I've read some that I absolutely adore and some I have wished that I didn't read, but I have high hopes for this one because I loved The Soulmate Equation. Number 5 is The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I actually just finished the Inheritance Game series a few days ago and I absolutely loved it. I'm obsessed with it and I can't stop thinking about it. So I'm really excited to read a new book based all around the Hawthorne brothers. I love all of them so much, especially Grayson. I think they're just such a great group. They make me laugh so much, and I'm really excited to read more twists and turns as they play more games and solve more riddles. Okay, now we're moving on to all the books that I own that were already published that I have been wanting to read for so long and I'm really excited to get around to. So the first book is Loveless by Alice Oseman. I've wanted to read this for quite some time, a couple years, and I've had it for a long time, but I've avoided it because honestly I'm scared to read it because I don't want it to be over, which sounds weird because I haven't even started it, so I don't know if I'll like it or not, but I just know that I will because I love Alice Oseman's writing so much and all of her books are so special to me, and I've heard nothing but great things about this book, so I think it's going to be amazing. This follows Georgia, who has never had a crush, never kissed anybody, never dated anybody, and doesn't know why. So when she's in college, her roommate helps her go find romance, and it doesn't exactly go as planned. So it's kind of about Georgia finding out who she is and what she identifies as, and I think it's going to be a really great read. Next, number 7 is something that I've been wanting to read for years. It is the Shades of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab. I don't know much about these other than that it's about these magicians who travel through like parallel versions of London. Like there's a gray, a white, and a red, and a black version or something. It is fantasy, which I'm trying to get into more this year, and I've heard such amazing things about it. One of my friends tried to get me to read it for quite some time, and I finally am because I just got the box set, and I'm so stoked to read it. And the covers are really cool, so I'm really excited to get into this, hopefully starting in January. Continuing on with number 8 is something that I feel like everybody's read, but I have not. It is another series, it's fantasy, it's ACOTAR if you couldn't guess. I bought the first book way back in like 2015 and never read it because I've never been a big fantasy person, but I am trying to get more into it, and everybody's so obsessed with the series that I decided I wanted to see what all the hype was about. And then for a giveaway, Destiny Sidwell gifted me this box set, which I'm so grateful for. And I cannot wait to read it. I can't wait to just fly through it, see what the hype is about, see why everybody loves it so much. And yeah, I don't know much about it other than that the first one is like a very loose Beauty and the Beast retelling, which was what drew it to me originally all those years ago. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into this super soon, and yeah, I can't wait. Number 9 is a romance that I've been wanting to read for a long time. So many people on Bookstagram have told me to read it, and that is Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. This follows Matt and Grace at NYU. Matt is a photographer and Grace is a cello player, which I really love both of those things, so I feel like I can connect to them a lot. But basically they bond immediately when they meet at college, fall in love, and then there's like some miscommunication and they lose contact after college, so they kind of hate each other now, but then 15 years later they run into each other again and fall in love again. That's all I know, but I think it's gonna be a 5-star read. I just get those vibes and I'm so excited to read it. Number 10 is one that I think is going to be really special. It is Anxious People by Fredrik Backman. I have had this one on my radar for a while. I've seen a lot of quotes and special posts about it on Instagram that I think just make it look like such a great read. And as somebody who struggles with anxiety, I feel like it's going to make me feel very like validated and seen. And I just know I'm going to love it based on what I've seen of it so far. I was a little hesitant to read it because I did not love the other book I've read by Fredrik Backman, A Man Called Ove, but this one everybody raves about, so I feel like I'm really gonna love it and I can't wait to start it. Number 11 is a sequel. It is A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green. I read An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, the first book, a couple years ago. I wasn't really sure how I was gonna like it because science fiction is not typically my thing, but I loved it a million times more than I thought I would and ordered the sequel when it came out in paperback. I have been avoiding it because I know that once I'm done, that's it, because Hank Green doesn't have any more books out and I don't know when he will put more books out. So I don't want it to be over. It's another one of those situations, but I'm so excited to read it. I honestly don't see where it can go based on how the first book ended, but I'm not going to talk about it because that would be an instant spoiler if I told you anything. But I just love Hank Green's writing. It's so funny. You can really see his personality shine through in the words that he writes, and I'm really excited to read this and see how the duology ends. Next is one that I've actually talked about in a couple videos before, but I have not gotten around to, and I finally plan to this year. It's going to be my Taylor Jenkins read year, and I'm going to start with The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I have wanted to read this and Daisy Jones for a few years now, and then they started getting all popular and I've seen them everywhere, but I've avoided them because there's so much hype around the books that I'm not sure if it's going to live up to the hype, and I'm a little nervous. But I had a friend yesterday tell me that she's reading this and that she's really enjoying it, so I figured why not give it a shot right away. I'm hoping to read it in January. I don't know much about it. Luckily, I haven't seen too many spoilers. All I really know is that it's interview style and Evelyn Hugo is a movie star, I believe, and it goes through how her life has been shaped by all the different people that she's been in a relationship with, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one finally. Number 13 is going to be continuing a series. It is Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder in 2021. I read it all in one sitting. I was obsessed with it. I loved everything about it. And it's one of those books that actually I remember so much about it all this time later. It has not left my mind. And I've wanted to read the rest of the series for so long. I bought the second and third book at the end of 2021 and they've just been sitting on my shelf collecting dust. and I figured it's time to finally pick them up and read them, starting with Good Girl Bad Blood. Obviously, I've heard such good things about the rest of the series and I can't wait to read it. I love Pip and Ravi, they're so cute, and I'm really excited to see where the story goes. Next up is going to be my second Sally Rooney book. It is Conversations with Friends. I just got this recently and I'm really excited to read it because I read Beautiful World, Where Are You last year, and I really loved the way that the story was character driven. I really liked Sally Rooney's writing, and I have high hopes for this one because I've heard a lot of good things about it. Because it is character driven and not plot driven, I honestly don't know how much I can say about it, but I do know that it follows Frances and Bobby, who are in college, and they meet this other couple and form a connection, and I don't know where it goes from there, but I'm excited to find out. Number 15 is a book that I just got from Book of the Month in December. It is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. I'm really excited to read this. I was looking at it one day at Barnes & Noble and one of the employees was telling me all about it and made it sound really exciting. She said it was a great read and that she highly recommended it, so I'm excited to get into it. And then especially after it became the book of the year for Barnes & Noble, it made me want to read it even more. I think it's going to be really good. It's historical fiction about the first women in STEM, and apparently the main character is really cool, so I'm excited to read it. Next is another Alice Oseman book. It is I Was Born for This. I got this as soon as it was released in the US in October, and again, it's one that I've been avoiding because I don't want to be done with Alice Oseman's books. It follows Angel, who is a big part of the online fandom for this band called The Ark, and Jimmy, who is the lead man in the band, and they connect online, I believe, and then something happens in Jimmy's life that kind of turns it upside down, and he and Angel connect to face reality together and start living their lives. And this one sounds really good. It is no romance. It's about online friends, which I have a lot of online friends, so I think that'll be fun to read about. And I think it's going to be a really special story, as are all of Alice Oseman's books. Working our way through the list, number 17 is Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson. I got this as an ARC back in May 2021 and I started it, but then I stopped because I am such a big fan of Morgan Matson. She's one of my favorite authors ever, and I knew that as soon as I was done with it, I wouldn't have any more of her books to read until her next book came out, which who knew when that would be. So I've put it aside and never picked it back up, but I do want to get into it because it sounds like something that I will love so much. It's about two best friends who are in musical theater in high school together, and they decide to go to New York for one night, no phones, just them, and they rely on each other to get through the night. And they do lots of fun activities and get into some lighthearted trouble. I've heard that it's like a mix of Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, which are two things that I really enjoy. So I think it's going to be a really good book, and I honestly know that it'll be a 5-star because all of Morgan Matson's books are 5 stars and comfort reads for me. So I'm really, really excited to finally read this one. So number 18 is an Emily Henry book. I know that everybody's excited for Happy Place this year, which I am too, but I've only read Beach Read by her, so my next anticipated read from her is People We Meet on Vacation. I know that this is about Poppy and Alex, who are best friends, and they go on vacation every year for like 10 years, and then something happens and they stop being friends, and then Poppy convinces Alex to go on vacation one more time because she knows that he is really what makes her happy, and then obviously, I guess they fall in love. But I see super adorable posts for it all the time on Instagram, and I'm so looking forward to reading it in the summer, I believe, and then reading Book Lovers and Happy Place as well. Number 19, we have one more series that I've wanted to read since I was a kid, and I haven't, and it's finally time. It's the Percy Jackson series. I bought this last summer and I haven't gotten around to it yet because I want to read it during the summer because it feels very much like a summer read to me, but I ran out of time last year, so this will be the year. I'm really into Greek mythology and I've been wanting to read more books that center around it, so I'm really excited to read this series. I've heard obviously so many good things about it. I have seen the first movie, but I've heard that's not a good representation of the books, but I'm excited to finally dive into these, see what all the hype is about, see why people love Percy Jackson so much, and then I can watch the show when it comes out on Disney+. Next is the final book I have to read for one of my greatest loves in life, the Hunger Games series, and it is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is another book that I've avoided for 2 reasons. I don't want the Hunger Games to be over because I seriously love it with my whole heart. I love it so, so, so much. That was basically my entire identity the entire time I was in high school and middle school. And also because I've heard very mixed reviews about this book. I don't want it to like ruin the series for me, so I'm very nervous to read it, but I think it's time to read it, get my own opinion on it, and then I will be ready to watch the movie when it comes out later this year, which I'm really excited for, especially because I'm a big fan of Rachel Zegler, and I think it's going to be fun. This one is before the Hunger Games happens. It follows President Snow as he's growing up, so I guess you could say it's his villain origin story. And I think it's gonna be good. I like the cover a lot, and honestly, I don't think I could not like a Hunger Games centered book. So I'm looking forward to it. Next is another book that I got at the same time as A Court of Thorns and Roses all the way back in 2015, and I've avoided it, honestly. It is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I have not read this because, again, I was not into fantasy for a long time, and I'm just now starting to get into it again, so this was actually one that I almost got rid of. But then it started getting really popular. I heard it was really good, so I held on to it just in case. Then fast forward a few years later, Shadow and Bone gets really popular, the show comes out, and I start watching the show and realized that it was a mix of Six of Crows and that series, which I did enjoy Shadow and Bone, so I think I'll like this because I've heard this is better. But I decided to wait for the show to read this first, so I'm gonna read it this year, and then I can finally join in on the fun of the show and see what everybody's talking about. So next is an author that I've already mentioned. She is one of my favorites, and somehow I have not read this book. It is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This is the book that literally made her super popular, and yet I haven't read it, but I've read almost everything else by her. I don't know why I haven't read this, but I'm excited to. This follows Bree and Nathan. Bree is a dancer, Nathan is a football player, so it's a sports romance, closed door, gonna be a freaking cupcake. It's gonna be so cute and fluffy, and I'm so excited for it. I know it's gonna be a great book because, again, I adore Sarah Adams, so I'm excited to read this probably around the Super Bowl because I love reading books that follow the theme of what's going on in real life, so really soon. And finally, we've come to number 23, a really popular book, Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Again, I'm very hit or miss about Christina Lauren's books, but I've heard obviously nothing but good things about this book. I've had it for a while, haven't gotten around to it, but I'm really excited to. The only reservation that I have is I'm nervous that it will change my feelings about Every Summer After because of how many comparisons that I've heard between the two books, and I love Every Summer After so much, but I'm still really excited to read this. It follows Macy and Elliot, who are child best friends, two lovers, and I heard that they like to read together, which is the cutest thing ever, and I'm really excited to be able to actually react to everything that I see and hear about it online and know what the hype is all about. So those were all 23 books that I'm really highly anticipating in 2023. I think it's going to be such a great reading year. I'm really excited to read all of these, as I've said multiple times throughout this video. I honestly have not been this excited to read books in such a long time. There are just so many books that I'm looking forward to this year, and I can't wait to just start reading all the time. So if you want to talk about any of these books, or if you've read any of them, I would love to chat. You can comment down below, or you can connect with me on my Bookstagram. And yeah, wherever you are, I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.